everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we're talking all about visibility, and we are talking about two very different strategies, and we're going to find out which one works for you and your brand. We're talking about SEO, and we're talking about web design, and we're also talking about getting media spots, which both are really great strategies to attract your ideal clients, really great ways to get more visibility, more eyeballs on your stuff, on your offerings. But we got to sometimes make choices and figure out which strategy is going to work for us. So today we have two lovely ladies, brilliant ladies, who are the experts in both of those fields. And they're going to talk to us about how to use the strategy, the benefits of the strategy. And then you can also, if you're watching this live, you can jump in and ask some questions and figure out kind of which strategy works for you. So Cynthia, let's start with you. I would love to hear a little bit, short bio. Tell us a little bit about you and your expertise.
Sure. I am a web designer. I started about 12 years ago. Creating small blogs for bloggers, people just looking to do affiliate blogging, make some money on the side. And that kind of turned into a big corporate job for me for a little while. And then I was doing it while in the Air Force for a bit. And then when I finished my enlistment there, I decided, okay, I'm just going to do it full time again. And I do mostly search engine optimization and membership websites for coaches and people who want to teach things.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then we also have Lisa. She is on the media side. So Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Hi. So I started Handcrafted Marketing. I am a longtime sales and marketing girl, executive, just really born connector. So Handcrafted Marketing, I am an online marketing strategist. I help small businesses with their online marketing strategy, social media strategy, PR, and sales strategy, basically all about how to connect and get yourself out and be seen and be heard.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm really interested, and I kind of told you guys about this before we started hitting record here. I'm interested in these two topics because I feel like depending on where you are and who you talk to, there are people that really only focus on SEO, strongly focus on SEO, or strongly focus on things like relationships, connections, media. And I think it's really interesting to kind of see, well, is that because there are different types of companies or different types of brands that focus on both? Or is it because how strategic is that, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is it because one's easier or not, or what's the deal? So I would love to know from you guys what you really feel is the strength of each one of these strategies. So Cynthia, if we want to start with you, what's the strength of developing SEO? And can you walk us through a little bit about what that entails? Like, how difficult is this, or what are we dealing with here?
So there's a couple different strategies to put in place for search engine optimization. One would be knowing what keywords to use in your topic and keep it in your title as well as your first paragraph and a little bit through your content. Don't spam it through there because that looks bad for Google. They're going to kind of kill your page rank for that. And if you use WordPress, there's some really easy plugins that you can use. I like Yoast SEO, and it just puts it right at the bottom of your blog post. Type your title in, your keyword, and a description for the search engines.
Yeah. How are you finding your keywords? Because I feel like that's kind of the toughest part.
That I listen to what my customers are how they're talking to me and what terms they're using, and I start using that in my blog posts.
Okay.
So talk like they talk. Use the terms they use.
Okay, cool. So from what you're saying, I mean, it doesn't sound too complicated. I have SEO Yoast, so I mean, I know it's not super complicated to set up at all. I mean, it's like any other plugin. You install it, and then it basically walks you through on each post, like, well, what's your keyword here? What do you want to put in? So I guess my question for you then is, do you target more really long tail keywords? Are you targeting big keywords that are really high competition, or what kind of is your strategy there when you set up a blogger site?
I stick for something.
Oh no, Cynthia, I might have lost you.
You're cutting out a little bit on me.
Oh no, well, you're back, so we can hear you.
I think she froze.
I think she froze. So it's my turn. No, just kidding. Uh-oh.
Well, I think I got most of what you're saying. Kind of in the middle. I don't really go too much into long tail too often, just because people aren't searching really long strings for the people that I do websites for, which is typically a lot of fitness professionals, gyms, health coaches, nutritionists. They don't have a whole big sentence that you could use per se. Mm-hmm. It's more so smaller, maybe 3 words in the phrase, 4 max.
Okay.
And that seems to work really well for them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're focusing more on the bigger keywords, and your audience, you're saying to look for what your audience is talking about, basically. And
if I need to jump out and back in.
Oh my gosh. Lisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I think it's Cynthia then who keeps freezing. Yeah, Cynthia, if you can hear me.
In and out.
If you can hear me, hang up, hit refresh, jump back in, and then just call right back in when you get in, and it'll be fine. Okay. All right. Well, Lisa, so you have a very different strategy, and you are all about getting media attention and getting the eyeballs to look at you that way. And I love these two kind of together, because I feel like Cynthia is more of like a spider, where she's like, I'm going to set this up and I'm just going to attract people. And you're more like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find people who are going to talk about me to like their spider webs, and then, get people to trap people. I don't want to say trap, get people to bring people back in that way. So what do you think are the benefits of you going that route of doing the media rather than kind of setting up your SEO back at home base?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying not to set up SEO, because I definitely think it's important. But this is just a backward, like literally completely flipped on the SEO side. Like you said, SEO is for people to find you when they're looking for, a business or a tangible product or something that they know they need, and they're searching in the search box, that will come up. Mm-hmm. My strategy is, you've got a message, you have something to say, you have a product, you're different, and you want to actually go out and instead of having people and you wait to see if people find you, you go out and you try to get media spots and attention. So you reach thousands of people all at once because they're actually finding out about you.
Yeah.
So mine is more about relationship building and connecting with your ideal audience, because you know where they are, and you go out and find them and say, hey, I've got a message for you. I've got a product for you. I've got something that you're going to want from me. Here's what I have to tell you about it.
Yeah. So what I hear then is, when Cynthia was talking, what I was hearing was, okay, the hurdle for someone there might be, what are my keywords? What are my clients actually saying? For you, when I hear you talk, I feel like the hurdle is, or at least that strikes me, is automatically, oh my God, how am I different? Like what do I talk about? So do you have any tips for that, to figure out like, well, what can I highlight about, and not necessarily me myself, but what can a brand highlight to showcase to the media?
You have to highlight your, what we call your edge, or in sales, it's like, what's your unique selling proposition, but it's what's your hook, what's actually going to get people. So, let's say, this is actually a real client of mine. She's a fitness instructor. She's a new mom. Well, there's a million fitness instructors. So if you just went out and been like, hey, I'm a fitness instructor and, I can help your audience, lose 5 pounds. 20,000 other people can do the same thing. But she developed like a 20-minute workout for busy moms in their house with like soup cans or bags of weights, or your baby. And she's saying, I can do this for you in 20 minutes. You don't need expensive equipment. So this is this great workout. And so now she's got a niche. She's got an area to go to. She actually can pitch something really tangible. This is why I'm different, and this is why, these people are going to love me. So that's, one example of something that's special about them. Or so you have to just kind of tweak it to see what is it that you have that nobody else is offering, or how do you spin what you're doing or your message to be different than somebody else.
Yeah.
Because honestly, we're all not recreating the wheel. I mean, a fitness instructor is a fitness instructor, but are you, getting, the guy ready for a fitness competition, or are you getting this mom, to get her figure back? Two totally different things.
Right, exactly. You're definitely targeting different people there. And Craig's talking about bench pressing a baby down there. So
what? Maybe, yeah, you can totally bench press your baby. That's like 20 pounds right there.
Yeah, you know what? My son is 5 now, and his dad throws him on his back for push-ups and for squats and everything. And I always tell him, I'm like, you can do a whole workout with this kid. Like, sell it, get it on there, sell it.
Yeah, and if you've ever chased down a toddler, you know how fast you have to run.
Oh my gosh, yeah, crazy.
Burn, man.
So yeah, I love this again, because this is so cool. They're so different. Like Cynthia's like, you have to find out what they're already talking about. And you're like, how are you different? So these are two. Okay. So now what I'm wondering is obviously these, oh no, Cynthia keeps dropping. I feel bad. Okay. Well then Lisa, I will talk to you for a minute if that's okay. So yeah. And Craig's also mentioning in there that it seems like whatever you do, and I would totally agree with him, that it has to be intentional. And it's all about, Lisa, you and I think we're talking about this the other day. For anyone listening, Lisa and I were webinar accountability buddies for the last 2 weeks, I guess. So we were checking out each other's webinar, and we had very similar things for the first, right in the beginning, when we were both talking about like clarity and finding out like, who are you talking to and what. And I think this idea of being intentional and getting clear is so important. Yet also I feel like it's this entire process that never stops. Like for me anyway, I get clear and then I'm like, wait, things changed. And now I'm like, let me get clear again. And let me do this again.
I work with a lot of bloggers too. And so where Craig is saying, I'm reading that, you got to get intentional about who you're connecting with. If you want to sell something, you want to make money at it, absolutely. Because you're giving them a call to action at the end. So you're saying, hey, I've got this amazing thing. And now you're saying, go to my website to learn more, or check out my free, download, which is a workout or whatever it is. So you absolutely have to get to those people that care about your message.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, for Cynthia too, because you were saying like, you need to find out what they're saying. And if you don't know who they are, right. So
there's one more difference that I was just thinking about as I was thinking about why the SEO is different. The SEO takes out the middleman. You're actually going direct to that client, when they're finding you. Mm-hmm. The media attention is kind of going through like a third party, which would be another blog or somebody else's website to get to their audience. You're like including yourself in with their stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit, it's like one more removed from your audience.
Right. Yeah. And that could be a benefit or a drawback.
Correct.
That could be, you almost need to ask permission to access their audience versus SEO. You don't need to ask anyone's permission, but you also are still kind of fighting with other search terms and things like that to still be heard and to be noticed. So Cynthia, do you have any advice for that? Like I know, so when my very first business that I started was actually an e-commerce business, and I sold robes for bridal parties. And my only strategy was SEO, because when I first started, I was working 2 other jobs. So I was like building relationships and I don't have time for that. I'm going to set something up and make sure that people are finding me because, I was at work all day and I had a 2-year-old. So there was a lot going on. So, that was my only strategy. And honestly, I didn't even really know that a lot of other strategies may have existed or how to utilize them. And one of the things that I struggled with was, I got ranked up in Google pretty quickly because luckily the person who taught me how to do this was really awesome, and he taught me how to do it quickly. But then I was like, well, how am I getting these clicks and how am I standing out? I'm on a page, and there's 10 other people on this first page, but now how am I standing out? How am I getting click-throughs? How am I getting, how am I making sure that the keywords that I'm targeting are actually words, not just to attract people, but attract people that want to then convert into, I feel like there's a lot to it. Once you start, you get your keyword and you're out there, then what happens, I guess, is my question for you, Cynthia.
So the next step after keywords would be backlinks, and that's where it ties into social media. Mm-hmm. So set up yourself a Twitter profile and put your URL in your profile link there. Set up Facebook to have it, Google Plus to have it, and then you can use something like Buffer to auto post your new content for you. Or if you want to get fancy, you can use a service called If This Then That. Mm-hmm. Love that service. It does so much stuff.
Yeah.
And that'll help keep you visible and get those backlinks built up for you through social media. And also backlinks through other bloggers is a great way to do it too. So guest posting once in a while will really help.
And I can definitely see that then tying into Lisa, because if you're getting backlinks on something like, I don't know, like whatever's big in your niche, a big publication in your niche, then you're going to be getting even a boost. Can you, Lisa, I know you have something to say. Can I, just to stay on this thought real quick, can you explain that, Cynthia? Like, what is the benefit of that and what happens? And then we'll jump to Lisa to talk to us about how to do it. Can you tell us like what happens when you get these backlinks and what kind of, I guess, we know we need backlinks, but like what's going to happen when how do we know the effect of those backlinks from certain websites? Like, how do we kind of create this plan so we know what to go after?
So there's a tool that's for figuring out what your backlinks, how they're kind of helping your rank.
Okay.
Connect my computer to the internet again. My home Wi-Fi is not being friendly today.
Of course today. That's always what happens to me too. It's like fine all week and I'm like, I want to do something. It's like streaming Netflix, no problem, but.
Right? Now my phone seems to be connected perfectly. The Wi-Fi, it must be the storm. We had some snow this morning and now it's like yucky rain.
Oh yeah, you're in Colorado, huh?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Hey, the weather's not even nice in San Diego today, so don't feel bad.
It's nice here. I'm good. It isn't always, but.
So if you Google backlink checker, it'll tell you the quality of the backlinks that are on your website. You just type your URL in.
Uh-huh.
It's usually the first thing that pops up in Google if you type in backlink checker. Oh, it's finally loading. Look at that.
Oh, I love that.
So, backlink checker. Okay. And that'll kind of tell you the strength of your backlinks. Does it tell you the strength of other backlinks or like other sites? Cause I'm thinking if we're trying to marry these two strategies together, like I want to put together a strategy to say, these are the publications I'm going after. Like how high do I need to shoot to get some really strong backlinks to build up my SEO strategy? Does that make sense?
Yes, you can use smallseotools.com and they have all those checkers for you.
Oh, cool. Sounds simple enough. Okay.
Yeah. Some of them, they want you to subscribe to their service, but a lot of them are free.
Oh, really? Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. There's a lot of sites where it's like they want you to pay, but honestly, you know, they're free is great too. So, yeah. Okay. So, well, Lisa, then do you have any advice for us, actually getting on? So, you know, Cynthia talked about not only big media outlets, but she said like bloggers too, like if you're reaching out to other bloggers and guest posting. So, do you then have advice? Because I know that, you know, guest posting isn't always easy. Or I should say, you can probably get on a lot of stuff, but I know there are certain sites that boost you up higher than others. So how can we go after like the big dogs and really get a lot of media? Totally cool. Didn't happen. So yeah, how can we go after like the big dogs, get that big media attention? So we're not only getting that huge boost back, like you were talking about, but it's this like reoccurring thing that Cynthia.
Yeah. Well, when you are, you know, blogging or you're doing anything for yourself on your site and you, you know, link up to somebody else or you mention something else, you do tag back to them, right, Cynthia, and right. Get some of those links. My biggest piece of advice would be when you're saying working with like the big dogs. Yeah, they're big dogs, but you have something that they need. Everybody's always looking for content. Huffington Post is a big dog and they're always looking for content day in and day out for such a wide variety of audiences. So, you know, don't be scared to put yourself out there because people need your stuff. Even the morning news needs your stuff. You know, they they get like syndicated national news, but not local stuff. So if you're a local company or your local somebody that's got something to say, like put yourself out there. And it's all, you know, I guess Cynthia, you would agree. I mean, it's all trial and error. It's marketing. It's, you know, it's not something that is immediate. I would say, you know, when I'm looking at comparing the two strategies, my strategy is a little bit more organic. Well, yours is too. I mean, you can pay for keywords and pay to rank, but it's less technical. You know, anybody can do it. I teach kind of like a DIY, so you can do it yourself. It's like not really technical. So I don't know, maybe that could be something else. You control the message because you're actually going out to groups where your clients are at. So perhaps your clients would be a little bit more, you know, pointed, as opposed to somebody finding you if you've got a product, but, you know, they don't really know how much it costs and they reach out to you and they can't become clients. I don't know. When you go out and tell someone your message, you can get a little bit more clear on that. But again, that ties into SEO. If you've got a great website and your message is right on there, you know, people are figuring that out too.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, I would say with SEO too, it is very different. I don't know if I would say it's less targeted because people are searching. So it's definitely like in that moment. And I actually really love that about SEO strategy, because if someone, you know, if someone searches like, you know, I need help with X, Y, and Z, and then you pop up as like, hey, I help with X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You know, I love that. Whereas, but media, I think, is great for actually, I was going to say the other reason, and I can be wrong, so correct me. But, you know, I think it's great for the other reason where you're reaching people who are like, oh my God, I never thought about that. Like, I never even knew that that was a thing, but now it is.
Yeah, well, the other hidden benefit of doing that is really for, you know, that social proof of, oh my God, this person is somebody because somebody else is talking about them and somebody else is promoting them. And, you know, the other, when you were talking about the big dogs, I mean, you kind of want to go after big dogs. You want to go after people that have bigger lists than you and bigger, you know, reach than you do, because you want their people to become your clients, you know?
Yeah. So give us, like, if you could give us just a quick one tip, and I know it's always hard when you ask for one tip because it's like you have to narrow everything down, but give me one tip. If I wanted to reach out to someone and to try to get either on their, whatever they have, their blog, their magazine, their radio show, their morning news, whatever it is, what is one thing that I would need to do to make sure that I'm the one who gets that attention and not, I don't blend in with everyone else?
Keep their reader in mind, or their if it's a podcast, their listener, obviously TV show, their watcher, but keep their reader in mind. What are their readers looking to do and solve? And if you're going to pitch to someone, how do you help them get something to their end user?
Yeah. Okay.
So not all about you, but about that person that's going to read it, that person that's going to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Cynthia, are you still there?
She's like coming in and out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anybody is listening, if you guys have questions or if you would like to jump in, I know there's a few of you out there. If you want to jump in, you can jump in and ask Lisa anything you'd like, or maybe Cynthia, if she's there, if she comes back, she might be in the chat. Cynthia, if you're in the chat, we can't hear you. So, she's here.
She's there.
we can't see or hear you. You might want to try refreshing again. I'm not sure. But if you are in there, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I am going to ask Lisa a few more things. And she's calling back in. But if I see your question, we will jump over to you. Or like I said, jump on in. I have an open seat for you and you can come. Or if you have anything to contribute to the conversation. So I know, if you're in here, maybe you're interested in marketing and you're good at it and you want to offer up some advice. So feel free to do that. So, okay. Well, Cynthia, can you hear us? No. Okay. Lisa, we're going to stick with you for just 1 minute. Okay. So, so that's a great way to figure out, Cynthia, I'm so sorry. We can't hear you or see you. I would love if you want to keep trying, but if not, I totally understand because you're probably frustrated right now. And I feel so bad that this is not working for you. But try again if you can. I can't see or hear you. And when you get in, like wave your hand or something. And if I acknowledge you, then I can see you. Okay. So Lisa, okay. So that's how we can kind of get that initial attention. Do you have any advice for figuring out a strategy as far as, and I'm asking this because I know that whenever I think of tackling a new project, like, okay, now it's time to do media. Okay, now it's time to do a blab. Now it's time to do this. It's like, oh my gosh, what is my plan? Because there's only so many hours in the day and it's just me. So, I know a lot of other people, if they have a team, maybe have a small team, but a lot of people that might view this in the future probably don't have, 500 people under them. So how do we make a strategy and say, this is what I'm going for and let me be most effective with this strategy?
I think the easiest way to start, if we're talking about really starting out, is looking at what you read and what you're interested in. Because mostly if you're in, a marketing space or whatever your niche is, you're reading stuff about it too, right? And you're in groups. I would definitely start with some social media. Let's just pick Twitter. Let's just say Twitter. So you're on Twitter and you start following people that are interested in what you're interested in, or you start following journalists, or you start following bloggers. They can also be in not competing industries. Like suppose you're in like a holistic space, or you've got, all natural products. You can go into spaces where those users like all natural products. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be, it could be where your ideal client is, not necessarily the exact same niche. And just start following them. And then you start interacting with them. You maybe answer a question, or you might tag them in something that they're interested in, and they get to know your name. And then all of a sudden you send them like hey, I've got something for you. Can I email you? Or you direct message them and you say, hey, I've been following you. It be personal. That's my other tip. Hey, I've been following you for a while. I think your audience would really love my blah. I'd love to talk to you further about it. And just like kind of open the doors, but don't just be salesy and open the door right away. Like build some sort of connection and relationship, or some sort of common ground first.
Yeah, that's the biggest complaint that I see online all the time, is people saying like, oh my gosh, this person just, out of the blue, it seems to them out of the blue, is just contacting me and wants to either pick my brain, or they want something from me, or they want to sell me something, or, and I think that scares a lot of people from even going down that road and reaching out to people, because they're afraid like, this person's busy, they don't want to hear from me. So, do you have any advice besides, okay, so personal, is there anything else we can do to maybe, to build that confidence up, so that we know like, hey, like I have something, I can share something, like what can people do to feel better about that, or maybe to get really clear on what they're sharing or what their big media draw is?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to have your message down. Otherwise, you're just kind of calling to collaborate. Like, hey, there could be something we can do in the future together. We're both sort of in the same space, want to talk. But if you're really trying to pitch them something specific, like, hey, I wrote a blog post and I think your audience would love it. I actually just wrote a blog post, and it kind of talks about my crazy business mommyhood and trying to figure out, where I'm sending my kids to camp so I can actually get something done. And I just talked with a blogger, a huge mommy blogger here in San Diego. And so I reached out to her, and she's accepting guest posts. And I said, hey, I wrote this, and I really think that your audience would benefit from this, because I think they're in the same situation. And she read it, and she's like, oh my God, I love it. Do you want to meet for coffee?
Cool.
So there it is. It's just sort of relationship building. And I've been following her because, she's a mommy blogger and I like her. So that was where I just sort of, put something that I had done that is related to her audience. So she could have said no, but I was kind of like, no, I know what I put out there is awesome for her because I've been following her, I've been reading her stuff, and I put something out there for her audience.
So do you typically publish your stuff first before you send it out, or do you kind of send it out, see who takes it, and then put it on your blog or put it, I don't know, wherever if no one grabs it? Or like, is it okay to be put in multiple places, I guess?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for instance, I talked to a woman today who's trying to get together. It's like food and fitness and friends all together. And she's going to do these really cool events where she gets people to sign up, and then she'll take them on a hike. And in between the hike, they'll have, some coconut water. And then there's a breakfast, and it's healthy, and she teaches you how to eat. And it's just sort of kind of a cool thing. And I was thinking about her, and, she's just forming her packages, but how amazing if she wants business and wants to get some exposure for it to bring this to the morning news. Couldn't you see that? I'm like, oh my God, you need to do that. I can see her niche, she's connecting food, fitness, and friends. And everybody thinks they have to exercise on their own, and they don't exercise with friends. Or, if they're on a diet, they can't go out to eat, right? Because they don't want to, ruin their diet, and someone's going to be like, oh, shut up, you can eat dessert, so she's going to put them all together. How fun is that, right?
Yeah, no, and I think that's awesome.
So I could see her pitching to the morning news, like, hey, you guys, this is so new and different.
Yeah, it is. I love that. And, well, I have a story for that later, but I love that. And I love her idea. Tell her that. She's awesome. I don't live by her, so I can't do it. But Craig, hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Nice to meet you, Sandy and Lisa and Cynthia in the sidebar.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining in. Did you have something you wanted to add, or do you have a question? Or
Yeah. So I've been a kind of a self-employed entrepreneur. I built up many things in my life, and then tried to reboot and redo other things that I was passionate about. And I've been really intently watching social media space. Have a startup right now and a bunch of stuff going on. And one of the things I wanted to add to the conversation is I think kind of Lisa took the words out of my mouth in terms of that social proof that you can get from going on and having the PR. But one of the things I wanted to add is there are so many people right now that I think that I'm noticing in Facebook groups and in this space, and they think that the followers are the end all be all of success. And the more followers that they have, the more they hashtag their photos on Instagram. And if they get those 1,000 followers, it's going to magically jumpstart their business. And then they want 3,000 followers. And if they only had 10,000 followers, it just kind of goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is it's actually the exact opposite, in that as long as you're adding value to what you're doing and you're standing out and you're niching into a very specific category and helping those, 5 people, the followers will come after that. But I think so many people in this kind of turnkey world that we live in, and push a button and stuff happens, they try and think, and I've been guilty of this myself, and I've tried to change my strategy. You'd think that if you have that magical number of followers and that engagement and those shares and those posts, that it will suddenly jumpstart your business. And that can be true to a small degree, but it's really the exact opposite, I think, of what a lot of people think it is right now.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think because this is what I do. And every now and then I sit there and I stress because I don't have those followers, and I'm like, it's okay. I don't have to. What I do, I don't need the followers. I'm helping others to get the followers. But followers are followers and customers are customers. Right. Are you trying to build a business, or are you trying to gain followers? Now, with that being said, followers are good if you're trying to sell advertising, or you want others to see what you've got. You
Right.
want people then to pitch to you, and you want to include their stuff. They're going to want to pitch to you because you've got their followers. You've got who they are trying to get to and who they're trying to sell to. But, followers are just that. I completely agree. And a small list can do so much more for you than a huge one that's not engaged and doesn't care. And that's why I laugh, like when you're starting a Facebook page, don't invite all your friends and family. Like, I swear to God, they don't care about your message. You really need to get it out to people that really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good point, Craig.
Yeah. And, I want to add to that, just for anyone listening, just it's true, because I know that a lot of times I will get clients and they weren't following me before, and they might follow me afterwards, but they don't always come from whatever, your social media, or from, they might have just stumbled across me or something, or, see me somewhere else on someone else, like something like this on someone else's thing, or, they don't have to be your followers. And yeah, you build that relationship over time. And then it's definitely, that's an asset, because you do build that over time. People see you, the more they see you, it's easier to make those sales. But like you're saying, Craig, it does not have to come first. So if people are stopping and telling themselves, well, this is the Band-Aid and I need to do this first to fix it, and then I can move on, then I would say, yeah, I mean, that's definitely not the case. And even like for doing things like you're talking about, Lisa, to reach out to other people to get exposure, same thing. Like, I don't think you have to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have, 20,000 Twitter followers. Like, who am I? Nobody. I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, you can still move forward. So I think that's a great point, Craig. Thank you.
Yeah, the number one thing I've been learning is just patience and letting things happen, organically. And we're right now as a company trying to launch a blog with just looking at the sheer amount of content marketing that I need to do to get us out there. And I think Cynthia could appreciate this as well. Just writing those blog posts and connecting with people and trying to come up with those articles that stand out is really difficult, because, 5-10 years ago, in a space where, you didn't have social media in the way that you have it today, you could do things that were great. But now, like, you have this abundance of being able to reach anyone. But the other side of that coin is that everybody else can reach everyone as well. So I've been trying to figure out really intentionally what is the thing that breaks through, that separates us from, what's out there. And it's a big challenge, and I see a lot of people struggling with it. So I think this is a good topic to chat about.
And maybe you're niche and you're small and you don't need those gazillions of people anyway. Maybe you just need a small amount of really committed, awesome people.
Yeah.
And maybe your product is something people buy on a recurring basis. So you don't need to keep reaching new eyeballs and all these new people to keep buying from you like a one-off. So, that depends too. But I was going to say, Cynthia has a freebie in the chat box there. And so she's going to build her email list. And the emails are way more important than the followers too. You want to be able to control your message and reach them when you want to reach them, not hoping they stumble upon your blog post or your, or your website. So.
Yeah, for sure. She also mentioned down there, Cynthia, trying to bring her in. I feel so bad. She's just in the chat. But she also mentioned...
her.
Yeah. Well, and I also think she was mentioning or responding to what Craig said, saying, you need to connect with people now on a personal level, which definitely has been a shift recently, right? Because, the whole thing with online a few years ago, or maybe more than a few years ago, like 10 years ago, people felt like online was so impersonal. And now I think it's the exact opposite. Like, I get to know people so much more online. I know people online more than I know my next door neighbor, which is probably not good. But that's the way it is. And things are so much more personal, I feel like, in business too. Like, it's not just this, it used to be very popular to see those really long marketing videos where like you couldn't click out of them and you couldn't fast forward. And it was like this big promise. And then they wanted you to buy $100 thing. And that was like what marketing was. And now it's so different, because it's more things like this where we're interacting, one-on-one, and people can jump in and listen, but they can still talk, like they can add to the conversation. And I love that, because that's so new, relatively new, but it's also the way business has been done for so long that we're kind of like coming back to in the online space. So it's so important, but it can be difficult, like you were saying, Craig, of now it's not just you reach, that one media outlet in your community. Now it's like, wow, I can reach anybody at any time you know?
Somebody told this advice to me, and I literally think about it every single day. And I just told another business friend of mine before we got on this Blab. It's just like, you're not saying that you're the end all be all or that you know the most about something ever. You're just saying in whatever space you're in that you have a message and you have something to say. And so you're just going to share it, and you'll get people that resonate with you. And some people might not like you. Some people may love you. And that's why they go to different types of people. But so, you know, I know there's a million other people doing marketing and doing what I'm doing, but I'm just going to share my way of doing it, my message, and I will find those people that want to follow me, as opposed to trying to, you know, reach the masses and be like, everybody needs to listen to me. They don't. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think, you know, the ability for us to see so many people and their success too is also something that makes us feel like I'm not as good as, you know, and back before we were seeing a bunch of, you know, all of this happening, not just online, but on TV too. You know, we see people on, somebody said this to me once, it was like, okay, you know, it used to be if you were a good cook, you know, you were comparing yourself to maybe 20 people. Yeah. Like well, you weren't before, like you weren't comparing yourself to now you are. Yeah. Now, well, I'm not as good as Julia Child. I'm not as good as, like, you know, and now it's just, that's magnified because we're seeing it all over. Yeah. Like, well, I'm not as good as these 100 other people. But at the same time, you know, like you said, Lisa, you have your own story, your own message to share. And that's, I think, what we're starting out with the media spots. Like, you know, I can still do that. I can still share that message. And people are still interested in it because you're still adding to the conversation. So yeah, it's super cool.
And I say in my whole in my pitch, in my freebie, that my sentence is, you know, what's the difference between their company and your company? Media attention. They're not going to do it. It takes work to put something together, and most people aren't going to do it. So if you go out and do it, you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah,
because most people aren't going to do it.
Yeah. Craig, tell us a little bit more. What is this? What is this thing you're building? This, you were saying you were getting a lot of content for. What is it that you're building up?
In short, we have a tool. It's called Relay. It's graphics that design themselves, and you basically add your content to it, your logo, your colors, your maybe a quote that you want to throw into it, or a person that you've interviewed, and at the click of a button, it creates graphics for you for all different channels, as well as you were talking a little bit about. With Cynthia, which actually kind of brought me into the conversation because I'm always curious about what people are doing for SEO, but you can actually tag it with keywords that will tag to your images so that when people search for you, they'll find you. So it's, for lack of a better term, it's a design tool on steroids that tries to take all the guesswork out of the design process.
I'll be a beta tester.
Yeah, right? Sign me up. No, that sounds amazing because, oh my gosh, I hate doing anything that has to do with design. Like, I am not a visual person. I write, I speak. Design is just not my thing. And I love Canva, since Canva came out, but I love, you had a few really cool things there. Like, it kind of does it itself, and that you can do it for different, I guess, sizes. Cause you said you could do it for different, like, right?
Yeah, it's a completely redesigned approach. I used to be a 3D animator back in the day, so I'm all about productivity. So a lot of the people, like a lot of the tools in this space are focused on how do you teach people to design better? How do you, how do you create things on the go, like memes and quotes? And we're more focused on how do you get traffic from that? What kind of a graphic can you make that's going to convert? What are the best types of graphics that convert? So I think, we're kind of looking at a different approach. And the one thing that sets us apart, not to go too deep into this, but when you add your logo once to our software, all other layouts have that logo in it. So it's more of you look at what you want instead of designing it. And then you're like, oh, I want to remix this. And then you click a button and it just shows you the options, which I think is a very different approach. And the funny thing that you said, Sandy, was the exact opposite what I would say. I love creating the stuff. I've been trying to sit down and write with a blank canvas, and here I am on Blab talking about you procrastinating because it's just really difficult for me. So I'm kind of, it's a muscle, and I think this could be a good teaching point. You know, like as we move into this world of wearing 20 different hats as entrepreneurs and things like that, I've found that I've needed to do things that I never thought I would need to do. And what I'm finding is and this is kind of maybe a cliche, but outsource what you're not good at and focus on what you're good at. Yep. And I think that people, at least I've gone through a process of feeling guilty if I wasn't good at anything. I was like,
oh, totally.
You know, I feel like I'm a really optimistic person and I can do everything, but that doesn't mean I should. Yeah. And I'm really learning that lesson in a lot of building this company from scratch and scaling it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel guilty too. If I'm like wanting to put something together and then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this component that I'm not good at or I can't do or I almost feel like it's not mine anymore. Like I've like let it go or something.
Right.
And it's so not the case. I mean, you don't walk into any store and buy something that like the CEO of that major company has, you know, handcrafted by himself. Like there are other people doing this stuff and it's completely fine. I don't know.
Yeah, and Cynthia can relate to my thing because I really help people with content and written word of what they should say in their message, right? And then people ask me, because we go into branding because it's content branding, and then they ask me for, you know, oh, well, do you do SEO? And I'm like, you know, SEO is a completely different bird. There are people that spend all their time doing SEO. And companies spend hundreds of dollars a month to do SEO. Like, no, I'm not an expert in SEO. Like I can give you a keyword here and there, right? But I don't do SEO. And same with graphics, you know?
Yeah.
People asking, well, do you do graphics too? Well, I can help tell you that what's on your website right now isn't resonating with who you are, but I can't design the new logo for you.
Right. You know, I've been thinking about this for a little while and I'm just going to say it out loud now. And maybe you guys will think it's a good idea, maybe not, but I've been thinking for a while, I want like a little circle of people who have complementary services that we just kind of lead share because, you know, same thing for me, like people have me write something and then they're like, oh, well, is this going to come all fully designed? And like, you know, and I'm like, no, like you don't want me doing that. You know, that's just not going to be good. So I think I need that circle, like not necessarily a hire, you know, not like a team, but just like a reliable person, like a referral circle or something of reliable people. I think I'm afraid to do it because I'm afraid I'm going to send business somewhere that's not going to work out. And then it's going to be on me. You know what I mean? But I feel like, I don't know, I need something like that because it happens all the time because people do, especially people from the outside think, you know, you're a one-stop shop. It's going to but it just doesn't work that way. So I don't know. And within your business too.
One thing that I've kind of noticed is you were talking about just what people show online and things like that. And I was thinking of I like analogies for some reason, but I was thinking of the analogy of going bowling and just the fact that everybody curates and shows all their strikes online usually. And you don't ever see the gutter balls.
Yeah.
And I think that the interesting thing is that when Blab came out and we were able to talk like this, I have not only was I not following you before, but we've had a connection here and shared, face to face. I think that, that's so much better than what I was doing a year ago, which was just kind of following people and just seeing what their curated timeline was. Mm-hmm. And, I had asked Lisa if she was at Social Media Marketing World going in, I feel like sometimes people actually get mad. Like if you just want to talk on the phone, sometimes it's all text and, messaging and everything like that nowadays. And just going to that conference and meeting those people in person was a big deal for me. Like I had a list of 50 to 100 people that we both recognized each other because what we had chatted, or what we had connected with online. And I think sometimes, especially if you're a local business, just taking it offline and going out, like you were saying, meeting with people, and just firming up connections that you already have versus what you were mentioning before, Lisa, picking your brain and stuff like that. I think that just forming that circle of people that you trust would kind of be your idea of that sharing circle, which definitely could work really well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, we are coming up on the hour, and this is the second time now where I thought
I'm so friending Craig when we get off this thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so hopefully I feel like I kind of took Cynthia's spot. So, but I love getting on here and meeting new people and just connecting.
Craig, I have a question for you. Do I know you from Fire Nation Elite?
I had run a podcast in Podcaster's Paradise.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's how I came up with this startup, because I was doing a lot of gratis work for people. I was helping them with their podcast covers. I was doing my own podcast cover art and like my episode art. And I was realizing that, like, even though I knew Photoshop, it was taking forever, because things have changed in the way that, like, just this whole content and reaching out and getting followers and stuff like that. It truly is like, either you're going to create something epic that goes viral and makes a splash, or you're going to be consistently helpful and that kind of micro content. And what I found was I was creating these epic podcasts that were just okay. It was similar to what everybody else was doing. I didn't really niche down to, you know, people that were building tiny houses or something like that. And what I found was that helping people create that micro content was kind of my sweet spot. So that was actually why I launched this whole thing, to be honest with you. So that's probably where we know each other from.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, yeah, second time that I thought this would be 30 minutes and we're running on an hour, but I'm learning about the Blab. It's like, as it goes on, it just evolves and changes, and you don't know it's not like a podcast where you sit down and you start and you end and then you're done. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen, and I kind of like it. So, yeah. If there are any other questions from anyone who is listening, there are a few more people who had jumped in. If you have questions, feel free to type them in and we can answer that. Otherwise, I'm going to say, Craig, thanks for joining us. Why don't you give us a shout out? I don't know if you have a link, but drop a link in there and let us know where we can find you, or say what you want to say, and then I'll give the floor to Lisa too.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm just at relaythat.com, and we're at sign for our handles, relay that. And I'm happy to friend you guys on Facebook as well. Just at Craig Carpenter. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to check that out. And I second what Lisa said. If you need beta testers, you know where to come.
Yes,
come on back, because it sounds awesome. All right. Thanks, Craig. Lisa, what about you? Do you have anything you want to share before we go?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. I'm at handcraftedmarketing.com, and I also have a 10 steps to a media pitch freebie up there. But I'm also starting to give a lot more free resources out. So, and 20-minute complimentary calls to strategize and all that good stuff. So if you need me, find me. Thank you.
And I just want to say, Lisa has a good webinar coming out soon too, right, Lisa?
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, God.
I got a sneak peek, so you guys should get on our list and see when it comes out, because it's a lot of steps about like actually getting your media pitch to someone. It's really helpful. So get on there.
I'll be taking you up on that 20, Lisa, probably.
Okay, we'll connect.
Cool, sounds good.
This is
awesome, guys. This is fun. I love Blabs, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I will be doing this again, and I'll reach out to you too after this. But thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you guys. And Craig, thanks for jumping on, like being spontaneous. I love it. So
I do too.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone who's here. See you later. Bye.